Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to Saturday evening racing action. It is time for the Italian Grand Prix. It's time for the Endurance Series, and joining me for all the action, as always, Unicorn. How you doing?
Yes, Jeff, thank you. It's good to be here back for the Endurance Series. 3 weeks on the bounce, and well, here we are from Spa, a wonderfully iconic circuit. Obviously, Zandvoort as well. Throw those two in this triple header, but now Monza. What an exciting track! So much high-speed action, so much overtaking here, and well, we'll just see how the 20 drivers that we've got tonight tackle it. But very, very excited about this one.
Yeah, I'm thoroughly excited about this one. Italy, it is the Temple of Speed, if you will. That's how we know it. And, well, we have a great circuit, a great lineup, a really skilled group of drivers to take to this round of the Endurance Series this evening, coming off of our last round in the Netherlands. A very challenging racing round in the Netherlands last week, especially those of the drivers that found themselves outside of turn 14. We come into Italy with its own set of challenges. Of course, we have the Lesmos, we have the Curva Grande, where we saw an incident earlier today, and we even have, well, we have that iconic Ascari chicane, and now we have the now newly renamed from Parabolica Curve Alboreto as well. So we'll just have to see how all of the 20 racers coming into this race fare around the Temple of Speed. It's going to be 53 laps of contention. Of course, preceding that, we have a 18-minute session for qualifying that I'm very much looking forward to, and I do believe we're going to have pretty clear running through the evening, and I think all the racers will be excited and thrilled about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Qualifying pretty difficult around here, obviously, with the tone making it so very important. We saw that on Friday, or yesterday as it were. Today, obviously, had the sprint qualifying back in full swing, but here, obviously, we just got 18 minutes classic qualifying, and well, with no team dynamics here in the Endurance Series, it's first come, first serve with the cars. We might not see too much tow, but there will be, groups of friends who might just try and help one another out, get to those front spots on the grid. But we'll see what happens when we get in. We've got 13 seconds on the clock, and it won't be too long, of course, until we see cars out on track. We have a driver host, so desync should be at a minimum. So when it starts, it should start for everyone, which is what we love to see.
Waiting on Richie there to get loaded in, and I do believe he's in now, and we'll get ourselves into this qualifying session and give the viewers and everybody a really good look and a really good glimpse of who we have driving with us today. Of course, at the top, we have Mr. Yagsol in the Ferrari this evening. Yar as well will join the Williams squad tonight. We have Brownie in the Haas, Mark in the other Williams, Domi in the McLaren. We have Luca and Vincent over at AlphaTauri, Verdex in one of the Mercedes. It's Eruption in one of the Alpines, and Crampy rounding out, of course, the first 10 drivers here in the other McLaren. Unicorn, why don't you take us through the back end of the timing tower?
Yeah, absolutely. The other Ferrari, obviously home of the Scuderia Monza, but it's Ben there in 11th of the timing tower right now. Then in the first of the two Aston Martins, Jeffrey Ritchie. There in 12th, Jay Verhage. In 13th was Brutanius, the other Dutchman in the other Aston Martin. Cody Lawrence is in the Haas. Then Freeware in the Red Bull Tuptus. Then Bloody Quick, who is Ben the Bear on the timing tower, as we would usually know him. In 18th, Neon, another Dutchman on tonight's grid. And then last but not least, Luke Smith in the Alfa Romeo. It's Rutanius who was first out of the gates in the Aston Martin.
Rutanius, a driver we know. He hasn't had an opportunity to really race in Season 5 of the MRL yet, but he is no stranger to these Endurance Series. He drove in Monaco, and Monaco was its own set of challenges, and if I remember correctly, he collected a podium, if not, well, at the very least, he finished that very turbulent campaign, and he'll be first to set a run here in the Aston Martin. Reigning Tier 3 champion.
Yeah, and he did that in Racing Point. What was formerly Racing Point is now Aston Martin. So the car fitting as well for Rutanius as he comes down now into turn 1. The Rettifilio chicanes, turns 1 and turns 2. Gets through there nicely, does the Dutchman. Now, of course, onto the very fast right-hander of the Curva Grande. through here flat out the whole way, where we saw Pierre Gasly come off today in a pretty big shunt for the other tire, but Rutanius no such problems. He comes down into the Rogier chicane now, a bit of a bump over the first curve, but doesn't unsettle the car too badly as he comes now into Lesmos 1, the first of 2 Lesmos corners, using all of the curves on the exit, then braking for the second Lesmos there. Again, all of the exit curving in utilization. DRS open now as he flies towards the Ascari chicane. A bit of track that has caught a lot of drivers out in this new release of the F1 games. We'll see whether Rutanius can tackle it here. So far, so good for the Dutchman, and so far, so good as he comes out of it. Now, just one more corner to go. It's the Curva Alboreto, newly named. And let's see how he tackles it. Just this one corner, tight on the inside as he comes in and swings it to the outside to come back towards the pit wall to just hug this right-hand side. And across the line, he opens us with a 119.184 here in Monza, and instantly beaten by a 118.7 by Crampy. So 4/10 quicker there for the McLaren.
Oh, things are heating up here, Unicorn. Very, very much so. Verdex and Cody Lawrence have come through into the 19s on the medium compound tires now as well. Vincent Nyquist, Yar, Neon, an 18.161 out of the Dutchman in the Red Bull this evening. A very good time from him. We have Luca, an 18.710. He jumps in front of Crampy. Eruption is through, and Tuptus, his teammate, is as well. And now we have another runner into the provisional front row, as it is the other Aston Martin of Jeffrey Ritchie, an 18.187, very tight to the rear of his fellow countryman and, well, dynamic Dutch duo friend Mr. Neon there. We have 5 drivers in the session yet to set times. They are Brownie, Mark, Domi, Jay, and Luke Smith. Mark right now looks like he is getting set up for a lap. He is on the mediums. Domi is on the way into the pit lane after potentially an issue on his outrun. Luke Smith, well, he is a very fast driver, but he's run quite wide coming out of the Curve Alboreto here, but he's going to hold things very wide and invalidate. And that will just be a blown run from him. Could just be getting a sense of what he wants to do on the circuit today, but he's not going to be getting any time set with invalidations like that.
Yeah, it would have been P7, so I expect he would be hoping to go a little bit faster by the end of the session. Speaking on Domi quickly, the McLaren, it did look like he had a problem coming out of the Curve Alboreto, so we'll see what happens there with him as there's a Haas stopped. I think it's, well, Cody Lawrence, I think he's just on an in-lap there. Something definitely going amiss with the Haas. He's going very, very slowly, letting people by as he comes now into the final corner, and we'll see as Jeffrey Ritchie, a little bit of a problem it would seem, so I hope to get him back in as quickly as possible.
Bloody quick, of course, Ben the Bear through third Ophelia chicane. It's 1 and 2. Pushing through Curva Grande now, holding tight to the inside. Come down now into the De La Rogia chicane. Left, right. Get Richie back into session now, thankfully, as we come into the first of the 2 Lesmos. Trying to keep things neat. Ooh, a bit of a slide and drift on the exit of that second Lesmo, but he holds things tight and pushes down now the long straight into the iconic Ascari chicane. This is where we can see drivers very much struggle. Saw some practice runs earlier today, and some drivers having some good snaps through there. Now we come through formerly known the Parabolica, now newly known the Curve Alboreto, the very iconic banking, and that will be into the pit lane.
Yeah, absolutely. I expect, like you mentioned, Ascari there. I think it will catch a couple people out. We haven't seen it in qualifying yet, but we are in the early stages. These are just banker runs. Everyone's just going to get a time on the board. When people start pushing a little bit more, that's when issues start to arise, and of course this is an endurance series, so drivers are going to have to go through there a lot of times. I believe it's a 53 lap campaign, and well, just switching off through there once will cost you potentially your entire race, because you could slam it into the wall and your car can quite easily become retired. So We'll see whether we do have any problems through here this evening, but so far so good. As we've got a lot of drivers coming out for their second run, and we'll probably see 3 from most people, but outlaps starting to come through for a lot of the top 6, with just Neon, current provisional pole sitter. He's still in the pit lane for the Red Bull squad, so he's waiting a little bit, but everyone else now starting to get themselves out.
Oh, Jay, a big shunt there coming out of Ascari. We talked about it. I was about to bring up Jay, and interestingly enough, on this run, I don't know if a bit of a visual glitch from my end, but his driver visor is open, so quite the daring adventure he's been on.
Yeah, Verdex, he's on a very, very nice lap so far, and this should see him into the top 5 if he can get this one all wrapped up nicely in the Mercedes. As we're seeing everyone sort of convert onto the softs as well. Now, a lot of these times, some of them were set on the mediums. But here comes Verdex out of the Curva Alboreto. And across the line, it's P3 for the Mercedes. Almost a second gain for him. A 1:18.486. Very nice. But still, the Dutch duo up at the top, 3/10 clear of everyone else. Well, they were 3/10 clear before Yar came in with a 1:18.246. And that is a little bit of pressure on the front two, but you can't imagine they're that worried, Striff.
That's a very good run there. And right now, Domi on the way back into the pit lane, not going to be happy as he invalidated, and there's going to be a variety, and I mean a ton of different drivers pushing to get these laps done. Bloody Quick will be beginning a run.
Yeah, Richie as well. He's just come out of Ascari. We'll see whether he can improve on the 1:18.187 he's got. He just needs 300ths and he'll be ahead of his fellow countryman in Neon as he comes through out of the final corner now. Hugging it to the right-hand side. Does he beat it? Yes, he does. It's a 1:18 flat. And he'll be very happy with that. Neon on an outlap at the moment.
Freeware to the
We'll see
line.
whether...
He goes 5th, 18.707 for him.
I wonder if whether we'll see one of those Dutchmen or indeed someone else go under the 118s into the 117s.
Right now pushing, Bloody Quick coming out. Quite quick, I have to say, of Ascari. Vincent Nyquist, 4th position and 18.379 out of the Swede.
Yeah, nice time from him. And like you mentioned, Ben the Bear, as we more commonly refer to him, a 1:18.373 will drop Vincent down a place, and Rutanius will drop them both a place. Now, Striff, it's not the Dutch duo, it's the Dutch circus, as Rutanius slots himself into 4th for 1:18.361, just ahead of Ben there. Really not a lot in between the two of them, and where you can bring Vincent into that as well. There is just 200ths between Rutanius and Vincent. Well, it's actually less than that, but just to round it to a nice number. That is 3 very quick drivers, all on very similar lap times, and you love to see that sort of close list. Neon, well, he was on a lap. He's just cut the first corner of Ascari monumentally, and well, it's not the first time we've seen Sergio Perez's car cut a corner today.
Ben pushing in the Ferrari. We saw Yags move it into the pit lane.
Yeah, not sure what happened on Neon's lap, but it was going to be a 1:24, so obviously a mistake at some point. He's looks to be going again, though, in the Red Bull. As he gets it down into Ascari, just sliding the rear around the corner. That little bit of rotation there that you see some of the drivers aiming for. Just slide the car. It looks unnatural. It looks wrong because in real life, it would be a mistake. But sometimes, if you just about get it right here in the game, it can be the difference between a 10th or 2 as he comes down now through out of the Della Rocha chicane. A big snap for the Red Bull, and into the grass he goes. And maybe just a little bit too slidey on that rear end, Jeff.
Yeah, just a touch. Just a touch too much there. Jay now pushing through. 4th position for him, 18.359. Man, are things ever heating up in this grid. Things from 1st all the way down to 15th position, less than a second in this endurance grid right now. Things are really shaping up to be a good race, and you and I commentated the last endurance here around Italy, and it was a fantastic campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, Jay Verhage's lap there, it brings back the point of how close Rutanius, Ben, and Vincent are. It is now 200ths. The difference now being it's between 4 cars, Drift. 4 through 7 are so tightly woven on this grid. It is unbelievable. And I just hope that battle happens in the race as well as qualifying.
Yar now in the Williams is pushing. And he is coming into the Della Roggia chicane, and we will have to see if he has it in him to do anything about either of the Dutch drivers at the top end, and I'm afraid that's a commentator's curse. He is now going to get things back rotated around as Domi will come through on his in-lap.
Yeah, Yara as well. He was actually down in Sector 1, so not a good lap at all for the Spaniard. So, he'll be wanting to get that fixed before his final run in the session. As Verdex comes in on an invalidated lap. Domi's invalidated his run. Mark in the Williams, he's up half a second on where he was, but he needs to find a lot more than that. He's currently on a 1:23.1. So as he comes down into a sky, he'll be hoping to find even more time, as a little bit of a correction required to get him through the corner there. Lying down towards Curva Alboreto. And we'll see whether he does find the time he needs through this final sector to improve the lap time. Almost invalidation, going very, very wide on the exit, but just not wide enough to invalidate. And there it is, a huge improvement, a 4.1 second improvement, but it's only good enough for 15th place, a 118.941.
Things are really calming down right now on track. You can see there's a few drivers on outlaps, but majority of the grid is, of course, in the pit lane. And things are going to fire up very quickly here. Speaking of quick, it is the Mercedes of Bloody Quick, who is appearing to be on a flyer through the Della Roggia chicane now in Sector 2. Setting it purple through 1. This looks like it might be a very good run to contest that top 3.
Yeah, and Ben, if there's anyone to dethrone those evil, you can make a good, statement about why it could be this man right here. He is, well, as his name suggests, bloody quick, and we've seen that time and time again. APAC world champion last season, and he did so well in that campaign. We've seen him do well in endurance races prior as well. He is such a fast driver as he comes now through the final corner. Where does he go? Does he take that top spot away from the Dutch pair?
No.
Well, he's going to come into the pit lane. So not happy with the lap. Vincent Nyquist flying. He's up a little bit of time, and with how quick it is there, this already small improvement would see him onto the front 2 rows of the grid, but he's got a bit of work to do through the final sector if he wants to see himself any higher. Well, he's going to drop the lap. He was on for an improvement and he's dropped it.
Looks like he's beginning again. I think he's beginning again now. I don't know who that was behind him weaving. Brownie.
Of Brownie.
Yeah, and he's starting.
Yeah, Neon's out on a flyer as well now. The Red Bull flying down into Della Roggia chicane, and he's already found 0.04 of a second as he invalidates. Very, very slight, but that's what happens when you are looking to maximize the circuit. You do find yourself stepping over those lines more than often, and you'll be disappointed. Rutanius as well, another Dutch driver. He's invalidated his run. I think he's racing to try and get through to the start-finish line as Vincent Nyquist, I think he scored it in the quick pit lane.
Yagsel P4 coming out of the Ferrari, 18.260, slotting himself in front of Jay there on the rear of Yar. Good run from him. Brownie still on the flyer. A few drivers flying still. We saw Vincent, well, you mentioned he came in. Brownie pushing right now. I think he's on an in-lap. I don't think he has enough fuel to go around.
Well, one man who does have enough fuel to go around is Jeffrey Ritchie. Slightly down to sector 2 as Ben comes up ahead, and then Ritchie launches off the curb through the De La Rochère chicane. So both drivers coming off in the same place. And who was that? Yar has crashed. I went on board with him by mistake, and I just see his car in the wall. And there's a McLaren. It's Domi as well, no front wing. And that's brought Yagziol to a halt on his in-lap. What is happening in these last few moments here in qualifying? It is all going wrong for all manner of drivers. David Hage, he's on a fly. Can he find something here where others having a bit of a slide out of the De La Rochère chicane? But he's on for a good opportunity here if he can use the track evolution to his advantage, but he won't. He slides and goes wide, coming through the first Lesmos, and invalidates the lap.
This is crazy. This is a crazy end of this qualifying session.
Verdict. Surely, well,
Luke Smith.
There's someone who could take an advantage.
He gets that right into pole position here at the final striking opportunity. And I don't think anybody at all is going to have an answer to this. Verdex is improving, pushing now through sector 2. The Mercedes. I wonder who has a shot here. There's a McLaren coming through. Who is it? It's Domi into the pit lane. Crampy is invalidated. Let's jump back to the Mercedes. Verdex pushing down the long straight now into the final turn of the circuit and of this qualifying session for him. Does he have enough to find through here? It's absolutely crucial for the Mercedes right now, pushing to the inside. Tight to the line. It's good for fourth. And 18.233, he finds 2.5 tenths. A very good run to the finish for him. Wow, that was a very dramatic finish to this qualifying session, to say the least, George.
Yeah, and there were mistakes that we missed. Like, I just saw three where we saw him on Verdex's lap there going slowly out of the sky. He actually spun the car and damaged his front wing. Not a lot, but there was a big incident for the Germans. So people really struggling in the last few moments there. I think it's just down to the fact that everyone was pushing as hard as they can. And we saw, you know, throughout the rest of qualifying, when you're a little bit more calm, just trying to get a lap on the board, trying to find a little bit of improvement, there weren't too many issues. But when you were trying to go on that ragged edge, trying to find just a few hundredths of a second, and that's how close some of the gaps here are, people start making mistakes. The De La Rochère chicane strip, that caught a lot of people out, and Lesmo won as well, really catching people out off with the track limits. But it's Luke Smith, less than 400ths of a second ahead of Jeffrey Ritchie on pole, and it's the other Dutch driver, Neon, in third, with Verdex taking late advantage as well, just like Luke Smith, slotting himself into fourth. It's Jari Jagswal. And then there's another two Dutch drivers, Striff. Jay Verheij and Routanius there. It's a real Dutch circus tonight. We've got four of them in the top 10. Then we've got Ben the Bear there in ninth, going under bloody quick for the evening. And Vincent Nightvis rounds out the top 10. My, oh my, what an end to qualifying. And well, if the race is as dramatic as that, it'll be a good one. We just hope it doesn't see any terminal retirements from any crashes like that.
Yeah, that's something that we're looking to avoid in this evening, is any big crashes like that. But now, of course, time to jump into this race. I am so excited for this action. 54 laps. Of course, if you are excited as us, tell your friends, tell your family, get your racing friends involved, because this stream is going to be on for a good time. And the racing, considering how we saw this qualifying grid, is going to be so intense, so heated. If you blink, you just might drop, you just might miss it, you just might lose a couple positions. I want to know what everyone thinks, of course, about safety cars. It's a very, very interesting circuit, a very high-speed circuit. Safety cars can definitely be hit or miss here. Of course, George, what do you think? You think we might get a safety car today? I think we might get one or two. I mean, it's a long race around here. We reached the maximum last week. So we'll just have to see how things go this week here in Italy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you can very reasonably see at least one safety car coming out over the course of the evening. I would anticipate, you know, maybe at least a safety car and a VSC. I don't expect that to just be one full course caution, just based on what we've seen there in qualifying. But again, that was with everyone pushing as hard as they can. So maybe in the race, it gets a little bit, it depends how much, aggression you need to score these points here, because when we saw it in qualifying, it's such a tight grid tonight. And well, if that continues, well, in laps into the pit lane, you're going to see a lot of pushes there, especially if people are trying to, someone's trying to go for an undercut on someone, then the other person on the receiving end is going to have to push, like hell to try and avoid that. But we'll see what happens. We got 53 laps here around the Temple of Speed, and it's an Alfa Romeo on pole at home. Jeffrey Ritchie behind Luke Smith in P2, with his fellow countryman Neon behind him. Verdex starts 4th, Yar starts 5th, Jagswol starts 6th, ahead of 2 more Dutch drivers, Jay Verhage and Rutanius there. Then Ben the Bear starts alongside Vincent Nyquist, rounding out the top 10. Then it's free, where the German starts on the mediums for the Red Bull in 11th. He had a problem coming out of a Sky. We'll see whether he can resolve that in the race. Then Luca starts on the soft in 12th for Alpha Tauri. Brownie, Crampy, and Cody Lawrence in the other Haas start on the mediums. Then it's Tuptus and Eruption, the 2 Alpines in 16th and 17th, both on the softs. Then Mark and Domi joining them on the Red Bull compound. And Ben at home for Ferrari, last on the grid. Disappointing qualifying for him, but he'll be hoping to use these mediums, try and alter the strategy to the few cars ahead of him, and try and find his way into some points later on in the race. But right now, 20th place for him, as he comes out. There's a problem for one of the Williams, it looks like. That is Mark. He's had a problem through the curve at Alboreto, but once he's found his way to the grid, we'll be getting ready for lights out.
Well, very excited for lights out here, of course. The sky is clear, no rain in sight. It is 20, very fast, very capable, very hungry racers here in Italy now. Mark finding his way to grid position. It is Luke Smith once again in the Alfa Romeo here on pole position. Jeffrey Ritchie on the front row, second position starting for him, with Neon in third for Red Bull. The lights are on. It is 4, 5 red lights here in Italy. The engines are revving, and Neon's just taking a drive through for a jump start on the rear of Ritchie here, and this is not going to be good for the Red Bull. You can see Ritchie, Luke Smith having a drag race into turn 1. Who is going to have the better line through? It is going to be Ritchie, as he has closed off the Alfa Romeo. How is everything going in the rear of the grid? Everything looking so okay so far. There's been an issue for Rutanius. No, not Rutanius. Who was that? Vincent Nyquist has dropped like a stone, and Cody Lawrence, he must have been caught up in that. He dropped massively through this grid.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a tussle coming out. Oh, who is this? It's Luca, the Alpha Tauri. Oh, and Crampy's got into him. Crampy has crashed into the stationary Alpha Tauri, and well, there's the VSC already. I would be very surprised if that doesn't get upgraded, and there it is. I was about to explain what happened coming out of the first few corners, but well, we've gone straight to a safety car to give us a little bit more time. But what happened, Strip, is coming out of turn 1, everyone had done pretty well. I think Verdex, just late on the brakes, went into someone, into turn 1, just trying to find a little bit more, trying to get past, I believe, Jagswol in the Ferrari. Just taps into the rear of someone. Then, of course, you come out of turn 2, and there were a lot of cars together. One of the Mercedes was sort of caught across the track, managed to snap it back, and that's when Vincent went off. And then, of course, his teammate has come off out of the Della Roggia chicane, and Crappy's gone into the rear of them. So that's what the retirement is there's
big
problems here with the timing tower.
Yeah, big timing tower problem there. Ritchie dropping through the timing tower right now, but he is in lead of this race on the rear of the safety car.
Well, a very, very dramatic start to the race. We've got a few people in the pit lane. And it's Ben, Yar, and Cody Lawrence. As the timing tower still trying to make sense of itself. All the timings are gone, and it is still Jeffrey Ritchie in lead of things behind the safety car. Ben and Yar are down in 17th and 18th place. Well, Ben spun.
No.
Ben spun coming out of the pit lane and drops to Yar. Ben the Bear collision with Verdex, his teammate. I don't know if both of them, they did look like they both picked up a 5-second penalty here for presumably just a light tap between the two. It is a little bit harsh, the penalties there, as the timing tide does sort itself out. And a reminder, Neon has a drive-through penalty for jump at the start. It didn't really look like he gained a huge advantage from it. He didn't make any positions, but I think he just, you know, tried to get the perfect launch in doing so.
He jumped the start, and he was just... Well, there wasn't much to the start for him, right? He was locked up behind Luke, and Richie was able to get in there with Luke right into turn 1, take lead of this race. With a disconnection for Richie here, we'll hopefully get him back in a second.
Yeah, Aston Martin at the top of the thing, top of the grid. You don't want him to be under AI control. We go green flag racing once more, and it should be at the end of this lap. So fingers crossed he is able to reconnect.
Yeah, there he goes. I wonder if Luke's being told to overtake him right now. If he is, he's being awfully respectful about it, but and we greatly appreciate that sportsmanship, of course. We've seen that previously, and it's always nice to see. And well, Luke and Richie know each other. There he is, back in control. Our timing tower is gone.
Yeah, as he reconnects, but we'd rather have the driver back in the cockpit rather than a disconnected car and non-functioning timing tower under safety car. It should sort of work itself out as well when we cross the line to go on to lap 4. We're on lap 3, and we've only had really less than half a lap strip so far under green flag conditions.
I think that this race start might be even more worrisome for me than the previous, and I'm going to tell you why. I mean, the rolling restart here can be a little bit more dangerous depending on where you find yourself in this grid.
I think the front runners should be home and dry, you know, provided they don't have any issues amongst one another, because they should get pretty spaced out depending on how Richie restarts this race. We have seen in the past slow everything down and wait till the last moment to try and catch people out, but here at Monza, going, you know, a little bit earlier is sometimes the viable strategy. But yeah, like you said, for the guys at the back, it can be a bit tricky, but here he goes. Richie hammers down, and while Neon already looked at Luke Smith there, Tutus and Brownie apparently already exchanging down for the final points paying position. But it's Java Hage on the rear of Neon looking into turn 1. Are we going to see a move from either Alfa Romeo? No, we're not. Down into turn 1. That's all sorted between the two. The Aston Martin Rutenius trying to find freeware on the outside, and does so.
There has been a huge issue at the back of this grid. I have to make a mention to this, as Brownie and Eruption have appeared to come tangled. Eruption took the off-run and tried to go through and navigate the off-road chicane. Brownie got caught up, and he was sidewards. Neon on the rear of Luke Smith right now, as Luke still very well holding on with Richie here. Look at this now. Very exposed exit for him. You can see Neon just wanting to push through on this Alfa Romeo, but at the end of this lap, all he's going to be doing is pushing himself in for a drive-through penalty, and Jay will be running with his teammate 2 and 3 to go and hunt down the Aston Martin. Rutenius will be happy. He'll be able to bring himself into a position. It'll be 2 Aston Martins and 2 Alfa Romeos in the top 4 to really do some battle all on the softs with Neon out of the equation here. Now that we have Yagshol looking at the inside of Freeware as we come through Carve Alboreto. Freeware holding to the outside. Inside now for the softs, and this is where you need to find the life. And Neon, he's actually able to stay out another lap here. I'm actually surprised about that, but should there be any issues on this lap, that's a big risk. Right now, Freeware, Yags holding to the inside. Freeware later on the brakes now, on the inside as we come through the Redophilia chicane. And he is going to hold that 6th position, beautifully held as well. Verdex pushing right on the rear of this, and they can't miss too many opportunities. Vincent Nyquist, bloody quick exchange as Domi hunts down the rear end of Tuptus.
Yeah, Jeffrey Ritchie, what's happened to the Aston Martin? He's just dropped from the lead of things to third shift, but there's a bit of a wobble. I don't know if that's a tap from JVH, but he drops another position. Now he's got his teammate Rutanius on the tail end of the Aston Martin. So something monumentally has gone wrong there for the Aston Martin. I wonder whether he's jumped off the curb on the inside of the Rettivillo chicane, or the De La Rocha chicane, sorry, like we saw in qualifying earlier on. But now he's got a great run through Ascari on the rear of JVH, so he might try and retake at least one of the podium positions, but he's not finding any straight line speed here, not pushing with any ERS. He's used a lot of it already as Vincent Nyquist and Ben exchange. It's not the first time someone under the name Ben has overtaken the AlphaTauri. He's dropping pretty quickly too, as Neon does come in to serve his drive-through penalty, as DRS gets enabled as well. The two Alfa Romeos going down towards turn one. I don't think that we'll see an exchange.
Freeware, Yags. Oh, Yags very late on the brakes into turn one in the Ferrari on the inside as we come through for Freeware. And there is a Mercedes just sticking his nose in. Tough Tuss has made it through as well. Man, oh man, are things ever getting loose on the rear of this medium runner. The softs want to make their way through. Freeware says, get the heck out of town. These are my positions.
Oh my goodness, Domi, a huge lunge on the inside, and that's cost Ben a bit. And now Verdex, who's dropped massively. Verdex and Yagswald, they were both having a great run into turn one on Freeware. Freeware in the middle, it was 3 wide into turn one shift. And Verdex just lost out massively. He's dropped 3 places as a result because he's just got so compromised on exit. Actually went into the side of Freeware, who almost spun Ben. Verdex now, Verdex dropping even more. Is there damage on this Mercedes?
Front left, yeah, he's missing that front left end plate. I can see and confirm it, and you can see he has now dropped to the rear of this grid. He has dropped like a stone, and now it's very early. There's always potential here, and hopefully that potential will come for him. But man, oh man, this is going to be a monumental undercut now for him to pull off, because he has to come in. He's got to get that wing changed. He's got to get things going. And now, right now, speaking of getting things going, it's the Aston Martin. It's not just the Aston Martin. Luke is under fire from Jay as well. Jeffrey Ritchie into lead of this race. Jay pushes through on Luke. And so it is the Aston Martins dropping from first and second to second and third as the Aston Martin takes 2. Very neat move there for the Dutchman in Mr. Jeffrey Ritchie. Rutanius looking to punch a gap in the Alfa Romeos now to join his teammate.
Yeah, they're showing the power of DRS there down the start-finish straight. Luke Smith getting overtaken, like you said, by not 1 but 2 drivers. Ritchie now starting to try and push for a little bit of a gap. Jay Verhage, though, has almost a full tank of ERS, so very, very impressive management from him. Brownie on the inside of the first. Lesmos gets past Mark for 14th place. Maybe a sign that the medium's starting to come alive just a little bit, or Brownie just using a lot of ERS to make that move happen. And a little bit surprised to see that at this stage of the race, fairly early on in proceedings, just lap 7 of 53. But it is clear the front 4 running away a little bit, and Yagsol in a bit of a world of his own. But then there's this huge train shift from 6th all the way down to Yar in 13th position, and you've got a couple of cars, Brownie and Mark, who we just mentioned, just clinging onto the rear of it. But what a lap that was from Ritchie at 121.5, and he put 7/10 between him and Jay.
Freeware, we've seen him do some defending here in this position. He's doing the same thing right now. Of course, Bloody Quick having to push now on the inside as we come into turn 1. He will take that position from the German. Where does this put Domi? What's happened to Vincent Nyquist?
Yeah, a little bit unfair. He had to take the exit road to avoid something, presumably, and then overtook everyone, but gave them all back on the exit. But he's been given a 5 seconds anyway. So very unfortunate for the Swede. I don't think he's actually gained anything as a result, but he's been given a 5-second penalty. So he'll be annoyed, but good sportsmanship to see him given those positions back that he did get.
Domi right now, Freeware. It's the softs versus these mediums. It's been this way for a good chunk of time. You can see that gap slowly closing. And of course, Bloody Quick wanting to push away as quickly as he can from the German. Things have been very intense. Speaking of Germans, Brownie on the mediums. He hasn't lost out too much despite having come into some kind of issue on that safety car restart. So it'll be good for him that he isn't too far off this train, and while we know what he's capable of when he is in these trains, let's take a look at Jay now. Nothing doing yet just for him, but Domi looking to punch it. Well, who's this? Bloody Quick pushing through as Domi looks for freeware. Nothing doing just yet out of Domi. And it's, well, you can't be taking too many risks. Because if you take a risk and you should fail, there is someone else there to pick up the pieces. But it does look like Freeware's time is coming.
Yeah, and Domi's been having a great race. 10 places gained for him. Tuptus is up 9 as well, just there ahead of him on track. So those two drivers, they've really taken advantage of the situations that have transpired so far in tonight's race already. And we're coming up on lap 10 now. And, well, Freeware, the only real medium starter here who's managed to make any sort of dent in proceedings. He's really doing well in 8th place right now in that Red Bull. If this alternate strategy works for him, he can be on for a whole host of points, but he has had a mistake already this evening, obviously in qualifying, but crashing through Ascari. If we see that again, well, that would throw a spanner in the works for him. Vincent Nyquist, Yar are exchanging, and there's Mark on the rear of this as well. And not one, but two Williams are going to
What on earth?
A huge snap, and they come together, and that is a huge crash, and they're both into the barrier.
I don't know what I saw there. I'm gonna.
That was something I don't think we've ever seen before. The snap coming into what is now the curve at Alboreto, but I'm sure stewards will be requesting onboards for that one. There's no safety car coming out, and Vincent, well, he's going to call it in the pit lane. That is a manual retirement there. The car not
was a big crash,
terminally damaged, but yeah, I'm surprised we didn't see a terminal retirement there, as Mark looks like he will be soldiering on. Brownie, who's this? Eruption is facing the wrong way, drives out of the way of Neon, and then spins his car around. The other Alpine has had a problem as well. There's no front wing.
That's
on
not
top
good.
of this car.
That is not good. I don't know if I don't know who's going to be reacting to that one over at Alpine. Cody Lawrence is pushing right now. He's made it through on Domi. Penalty coming up for Bloody Quick. 3 seconds. But yeah, definitely just a clean-cut move there for Cody.
Yeah, the inside going into Ascari. You have to be confident later on the brakes. He was, and just swoops past cleanly on Domi. Domi, though, will have the opportunity with DRS here to come back into turn 1. Cody Lawrence won't be within DRS range of Freeware ahead, so he will be a bit vulnerable, and you can see the speed difference here. So Domi will overtake, but Ben's going to try and go for the middle, thinks better of it, backs out. And my goodness, that was very, very quick thinking from Ben there. He saw the gap, and then he saw it close and managed to react to both things just quickly enough. Now, though, as they go through the Curva Grande, does the Ferrari find anything? Cody Lawrence is looking for Domi. Ben's looking for Cody, and here he goes on the inside of the Haas. They're both late on the brakes, just trying to outbrake one another. But as they come through the Rocher chicane, Cody manages to stay out on top, but they both lose a whole heap of time to Domi ahead.
Yeah,
well,
he's loving this, Domi, right now. And Yar is also loving this. Uh-oh. Domi's spun. Domi's not loving anything anymore. Domi has spun coming out of the second Lesmo.
Yeah, I think they're, what we were saying in qualifying, maybe just trying to push to expand the gap, to get that 1 second clear. Hasn't worked out for the Hungarian here, as he now finds himself down in 13th, but still in this race, still plenty of time. I know he's toying around with some assists, making things a little bit harder for himself, and maybe that's what's to blame there, but either way, he will be kicking himself for that mistake after such a great opportunity was presented to him.
Gaps right now starting to form just slightly through this grid. We had big trains a few moments ago, massive trains, and well, now these trains have really shortened up as people find their sweet spots, get into these comfort zones. They break off that DRS right now. Ben just in and around that 1 second range of Freeware. He wants to get that DRS, and should he get it, Freeware, he'll be exposed to Cody, Yar, potentially Brownie soon enough on the same tire. Very interesting dynamic to find yourself in. Of course, Jeffrey Ritchie just shy of a second leading ahead of Jay. Luke Smith in the other Alfa Romeo. Man, the Alfa Romeos and the Aston Martins right now seem to be in a class of their own around Monza tonight, as they are running 1 through 4, the two constructors.
Yeah, absolutely. These top two teams that we've got around here, both doing, brilliantly right now. And obviously Alfa Romeo here in Monza would probably want to do a bit better. Vertex has come off at the start of the lap. Maybe an incident there, I'm not sure, between two cars. But either way, the Mercedes facing the wrong way gets it back now. On the hards as well, we're seeing a rupture on that tyre too, but very bold choice at this stage of the race, just trying to do a long stint here as there's a bit of a problem. Jeffrey Ritchie again, connection issues potentially plaguing him. Yeah, I think he's disconnected.
This is not what you want to see, and it's very unfortunate when these issues develop, because you just want to see everyone able to race. Now Ritchie, unfortunately, this is the second time in the session we've seen him drop. Britannius will net a position as a result, and Yags 2.8 is the gap now, but you can see when someone disconnects from a lobby, they are in AI control, and when you come under AI control, things do not get easy for you. Fortunately for Ritchie, the first time this occurred, he was under safety car conditions. This time around, however, he is not. Ben on the rear freeware, looking for a position now, pushing off to the outside as we enter into Ascari, and it's going to be a clean-cut overtake for Ben. Cody Lawrence looking on, wanting to push through as well, and he's on these softs. Freeware on the very different strategy.
Yeah, as he comes through, Ritchie's reconnected to the lobby. He's not in control of his car yet as Yagswell swoops round the outside of the curve. Alboreto there. I think Ritchie might be in control of his car now. He's still got the red X next to him though, as the two Alfa Romeos exchange at the top. Luke Smith gets ahead of Java H, but a big slide coming out of the Retafilio chicane. Does that cost him? No, it doesn't for the Alfa Romeos. It's a shame, Strift, that we don't have the limited edition liveries that obviously they're running tonight, as Freeware is taking the escape road down at the Retafilio chicane. I don't know what happened there for the Red Bull, but he's dropping a little bit as he gives positions back to avoid gaining time through that, and he didn't get the 5 seconds like Vincent did either, so obviously just navigated that a little bit slower than the Swede did early on the races. The German hops over the curb and the De La Roche chicane. Does that give Yar an opening into Les Plus 1? No, it doesn't. The Williams still in 10th place, but looking hungry for the position on his fellow medium runner, and the mediums, well, obviously Freeway has made that mistake, but they were working well for him. It'll be a wonder when these softs come into the pit lane. It won't be too long, I don't think, until we start to see a few pit stops fly in.
Yeah, I think pit stops are coming imminently here, just to see where these drivers land. And oh, Freeware, a big snap coming out of Ascari, gets it caught well, but it is a position loss for him, and man, that could have been terminal should he have not saved the car. And that would have been a very, very bad situation to find oneself in, no doubt, as Ritchie, with a very good chunk of DRS and speed on the rear of Mr. Yagsol, will push through into 4th position to reclaim that Aston Martin, well, running position in 4th, where Rutanius held for some time. Cody Lawrence on the rear of Ben, nothing doing just yet as we come through into turn 1, as Freeware takes 3 seconds, and that is not what he wants to be doing coming through the 1st and 2nd turns at all. But of course, he is not the first driver to take penalties. However, that is not his last or first penalty either. We have a multitude of drivers with penalties. Rutanius, Bloody Quick, Freeware, Vertex, Eruption, all with 3-second penalty varieties. There's a 5-second for Bloody Quick, as well as K. Lawrence in that Haas, pushing through on Ben in the first Lesmo, getting that 7th position. Will Ben have an answer here? He does have the DRS. 9 seconds
I gotta
for
say,
Freeware.
Another great move from Cody there, Steph. It was reminiscent of what we saw from Alonso earlier. As Vertex, has he crashed into the pit lane?
That is a safety car, and that is on track, 100%. I was just looking at Eruption. Eruption flew by him, and I don't know how he's wound up there, but it looks like debris. It was debris, it looked like, at the front end of the pit lane when Luke came in, and it reset his car on track, it appears. And now we have a safety car as a result.
Well, Here we are, and the front runners are pretty much all coming. Richie stayed out a lap, presumably to avoid getting double stopped with Rutanius. The Alfa Romeos took the gamble, and I think that's going to pay off for them. They've only lost out, 2 positions because, it was a 1-2. It's now theoretically a 1-4 because the top 3 haven't pitted. But Richie, well, he's not going to drop a whole host of positions if he comes into the pit now because, well, the other drivers have already caught back up to him. He is going to be down in at least 10th place and going to have to cut himself through here.
Things have been so shaken up in this race. It's really something to see. That fastest lap 21.523 from Richie right now. Position changes. Well, those position changes have been something as well. We take a look. 10 for Ben. Good for him from the back end of this grid under safety car conditions. But the strategies now that we're seeing, of course, Richie, Freeware staying out. Very, very interesting calls here from them 15-lap-old softs. I wonder if we see Richie come in right now.
That's a huge mistake from the Aston Martin. I think if he is going to come in now, and, well, he's already looking to go to that right-hand side, and he is coming in. I am very, very surprised. Obviously, he would have been double stacked with Rutanius, but look how many positions he's losing. The Alfa Romeo double stacked as well, and it's Luke Smith obviously retaining provisional P1, and Java H is only in 6th, which provisionally 4th. So a huge strategic error by Richie, a huge blunder for the Aston Martin pit wall, and I don't know why he's made that call. He is an experienced racer, Jeff. He's been in situations like this countless times before, and yet the call has been made, unless he wants that one extra lap of mediums. But even then, you're going to have to fight your way through the grid. So a very, very weird call here. But at the end of the day, we might be able to see these tires through to the end. So that one lap, maybe it will be critical by the end of the race.
Well, surely, I wonder if he was in control of his car. And the reason I wonder if he was in control of his car, because we saw the game crash. But usually if you have an AI-controlled car, in that situation, I feel as though the AI would have pitted. But it didn't. So I'm wondering if he was in control and it was just a late judgment, or if there was some kind of strategical play there for him. He just wanted to have the tires. It's a very, very interesting situation to find oneself in. But now he's in 13th position. He's got a whole host of drivers ahead of him that he's already shown he's got very good pace on. He's shown very well in this race so far, leading things for the majority of it and fighting off with the 2 Alfa Romeos. He's ultimately going to want to get back there, and he's got a whole host of drivers ahead of him. It's a full-blown safety car restart. So everybody's kind of in the same position here. Yar needs to build a gap. Freeware needs to build a gap. Otherwise, they're going to get absolutely roasted by Luke and Rutanius and the whole whack of the boys on the fresh tires. Yar, Freeware, they're in very, very interesting positions here, and they really... Oh, that's a very late call in. Okay, so we're coming in here. Yar, Freeware, you can see where we are when we are finding out, and this is a very late call. Yar is gone. Yar is gone on this safety car restart. How has this worked out for the rest of this grid? Rutanius hunting down Luke Smith for 3rd position right now. Nothing happening between Freeware and Yar, but of course it's between these two. Luke holding things. It's Rutanius. Tight, tight, tight. Holy, what a lunge, and he's still there. He's around the outside of the red affiliate chicane. There's another car there. That was the Ferrari on the inside. There's a bit of a top, a little bit of a wobble, and Luke has dropped through this field, and I don't know what to say other than that's a very unfortunate racing incident there. Cody Lawrence on the rear of Rutanius now, pushing for now 6th position as Neon. Everybody dropped a good host of positions there, and it's not going to be good for Rutanius. It's not going to be good for Cody, but Neon... he has a very good opportunity. These guys are very exposed here.
Yeah, and now you look at who is, doing well in this race. And I was going to say Luke Smith on the restart was looking so strong because he had way more pace than at least Rutanius did, as Brownie comes past Ben as they go down into the sky. The softs there swooping past the mediums. But Now you look at the top, but it's a bit more even. Java Hage ahead of Ben, and you've got Yaxel. He went for the soft shift, so he's going to build a gap here. And I wonder whether this might be a good call for him, because he's going to have to come in later on in the race. He won't go to the end of those tires, but he is going to build a pretty sizable gap, I think, between the cars behind. And if we have another safety car, this is going to work out beautifully for the 4 It's a bit of a gamble, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad one. As here he looks up the inside of Freeware down into the Rettifilio chicane, and it won't be an overtake for him yet, but maybe the traction on the exit doesn't look to be yet for him. In fact, Freeware has got him there coming up, but he is using a bit more ERS than the Ferrari. So as it stands, pretty much all to play for here, and Java Hage sticking with Yaxwell very, very nicely. And when DRS gets enabled, well, if Yaxwell hasn't already left the Alfa Romeo in his dust, then he's going to struggle even more so to do it.
Oh, things very tight in this grid right now. Richie here with Domi. What a move inside of that first Lesmo, getting it done in the Aston Martin. No DRS just yet for anybody on this grid. But when it comes open, we are going to be seeing risks right now. Yags, you can see how badly he wants to push through on these fresh softs on the rear of the medium runner in Freeware. Getting loose on the exit out of Ascari. You can just see the speed and traction carrying Yags through with ease there on Freeware. Jay, well, on the rear of Freeware now, as we get DRS enabled when Yar crosses into lap 20, things are going to be very tough for the German. Even more so, I think, for Yar, once you can see Yags really get full control with that rear wing. Here we go. Jay on the hunt. Freeware pushing the battery. No. He's just got a great setup and a great carry of speed on the rear of Yags. A little bit later on the brakes to try and hold things. And you can see later on the brakes on the rear of Yags, he wasn't sure what to do there. Jay wasn't pushing it up the inside. There's a big mistake out of Freeware. He had to push the runoff, and he will concede that position.
And he might concede another one here, because Ben the Bear is looking to the outside into the De La Rochelle chicane, and Freeware again. That's going to be a warning surely for the Red Bull. He is really struggling. Rutanius now having a look at Ben as a way to try and find a way past the two Hasses of exchange. Brownie now ahead of his teammate, and there's been a problem. Eruption's crashed out, and Luke Smith's dropped a bit of time. I wonder whether he was involved. I don't think he was. It looks like his car is okay, but Eruption out of this race. We're not seeing a safety car. It'd be a very late call, but it doesn't look like we're going to get one here, as I wonder what's happened there to the Alpine.
Yeah, that's a very unfortunate situation to find yourself in. 100%. Rutanius looking at bloody quick inside of the Curva Alboreto right now. Look at this move. It's very tight between these two. The Aston Martin getting it done on exit. Has he held this? Look at that. Very neatly done coming out of the Dutchman right now. He's got DRS on the rear Freeware. You can see bloody quick pushing here as Yags and Yar exchange. It's 3 wide coming down into the Rettifilio chicane. Rutanius on the far inside. You can see there bloody quick holding. Freeware's been mugged, but man, oh man, look at this. Bloody quick holding it. They've gone into the wall. That's a retirement, and I can't believe what I've just seen. No! That's a safety car deployed after some fantastic racing. And why?
Again, Rutanius on the outside coming out of turn 2. Just, again, the car coming across and spinning out. This time it's resulted in a terminal retirement. First it was Luke Smith who just about got away with it. And then, of course, Ben now coming out of it much worse off, retiring out of the race. And Rutanius, he's been involved twice, and he's dropped a bit as well as a result of this neon shift. Well, he had the drive-through, dropped out of this race, but the Endurance series, you always get opportunities to come back. And now the Dutchman sits in P5 with 2 drivers ahead yet to pit. He is provisionally in a podium position shift. This is absolute masterclass of a redemption drive for Neon here. He's right behind his teammate Freeware, and then behind him, when you've got 2 other Dutch drivers in the Aston Martins in 7th and 8th, Brownie separating them on the softs here. He's on a different strategy to them. But yeah, very, very dramatic in this, with 13 drivers in as pit stops coming out for the 2 old medium runners, Yar and Freeware, who, you know, have been on those tires for a long time. Freeware starting the race on them. Yar in an early pit stop coming onto the mediums. Now it's going to go onto another set of them. Freeware onto the soft to get rid of the tire options. But my oh my, what a race is unfolding in front of us, and a lot of pit stops coming through. 5 drivers getting themselves some fresh rubber onto the car.
Looking right now. 21.523, still that fastest lap. I wonder if we're going to see anyone bring that down tighter here, but of course, given how this race has gone,
yeah,
17 seconds. That's just very unfortunate there for him. He was having a good race at one point there where he was really causing some headaches for the soft runners.
Yeah, and that alternate strategy would have, you know, probably worked out quite well for him. But again, he's had to take that runoff through the Rettifilo chicane twice now. Then he had the problem through the Della Rocha chicane with Ben. Won't have cost him much time, but just a little bit. And all of this adds up, and he picked up that penalty as well, of course. And that piles on top of some already quite substantial existing penalties. Like you said, 17 seconds now. That's going to be hard to shift by the end of the race. And I think points are still on for him, given that there's only 13 races still in this one. And we've got, you know, we're not even halfway through yet. We'll hit that halfway through lap 26. That's the halfway mark here. As we do go around the safety car again, I'm surprised we didn't get the call for it to come in, especially after how late it got called in last lap. But it will come in this lap, I'm pretty confident in saying, although Freeware is going to serve another 5 seconds in the pit lane. So he is going to go back into at least, well, I was going to say single digits. He won't go into single digits.
I mean, he might as well. I mean, he is not losing anything in doing this right now. He's cycling tires. If he's got the tires to cycle them. If he can get that penalty gap down, get it down. That's the way I look at the situation, and he's doing exactly that.
Yeah, like you said, you know, you may as well. There is nothing to lose by getting rid of a 5-second penalty, but that 5-second penalty could cost you a lot of time. Whether it be, you know, you need to pit again in this race and you have to serve it at an unconventional time, or it costs you at the end of things, you know. And we will see him pit again, I'm pretty sure, in this race. So he might have another 5-second penalty. It's going to cost him. It could be for 3 seconds, though. And I think it is going to be that sort of addition there for 12 seconds. I don't see how else he would have found 12 seconds without just 4 3-second time penalties. And he's already caught the rear of the train, so we should go green still at the end of this lap. And there it is. So to cut in this lap, race control informing us, and well, it will be Jay Verhage leading the charge ahead of Neon. And right now, 4 of the top 5 drivers are Dutch. And well, if this was Zandvoort, Striff, I think we would have quite the celebrations on our hands at the end of things.
Yeah,
I think we still will, but it's a little different this week.
They're carrying the party over from last week.
But here we go. Jay Verhage, he's fired it down. Neon hasn't really been caught off guard, but Brownie did struggle to get away, and despite the tyre advantage, he has got 2 Aston Martins on his rear. Does Rutanius find a way through on the German down into turn 1? It doesn't look like he will, but he's going to go late on the brakes around the outside. Does he find it here on the There's a little bit of tap to the rear wheel, and he just about gets through. No problems. Brownie still holding on to 3rd place, but that's costing even more time to the cars ahead, and there is already a huge gap between him and the Red Bull of Neon. Meanwhile, the 2 Aston Martins, Richie on the inside of the Curva Grande will find his way through on his teammate, and Mark, is he going to go for the lunge into the Roger chicane? Yes, he is. And the Williams takes 1 position. Can he find 2 on Rutanius here, who's dropped back already a second to his teammate? Is there problems for the Aston Martin?
Definitely problems for the Aston Martins, and I'll tell you why. Rutanius misjudged his braking on the rear of Richie into that Della Rogia chicane. He really hurt himself, and it was close because Mark and Ben, they were in their fight. Should they have not been in that fight, I think that he might have even come under fire for an overtake, and now Freeware has crashed the car. Freeware's crashed the car out of Ascari. And that is going to be a yellow flag right now. Yar under fire. Luke Smith around the outside of the Curve Alboreto. And look at that. Yar holding him off nice and neat. It's going to be Brownie on the rears of Neon, pushing through for the inside as we come down into the Ritophilia chicane. Turns 1 and 2. Jay holding that inside line on the rear.
Brownie just coming off the brake a little earlier than Neon, who was later on the brakes, and just slides himself for a really nice overtake. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there, but nothing that will unsettle either car, and he'll be happy to have got that move done. Neon will be hungry to get it back though, and he's got Richie now on his rear, who is still making time on his teammate behind. The front four again breaking away. It's a different front four to what we saw before, but Brownie up there in the softs will still how long his strategy works for. Cody Lawrence making another move through sector 2. This time it's on the inside of Lesmos, one on Domi, as there's another problem. Yags, well, what's happened here with the Ferrari at their home Grand Prix? He's limping around the second Lesmos. No damage, it would seem, at least visibly. We know that to be a problem for us, as we can't see some damage as Domi gets past, going down to Ascari. Luke Smith back up into the points for the Alfa Romeo after his unfortunate coming together with Rutanius earlier on, coming out of the Retofilio chicane, but the Alfa Romeo now back up into the point scoring positions, and we'll see whether he can claim anything back from this one.
DRS enabled now, pushing through into 26 here. Unicorn and Brownie on the rear of Jay. No DRS just yet on this run into turn 1, but there is going to be a lunge around the outside through to the inside now for the Haas, and that is a very neat move there from the German to take lead of things, and he is on the softs. Will he be able to slowly pull away from Jay and pull a gap? That is a big question right now at the tires. They're both 9 laps old. We've got Neon here. We've got Jeffrey Ritchie here. Rutanius. The whole train is here in formation as Cody Lawrence on the softs as well. The much fresher softs will look at the rear of Yar. Yar coming exposed out of the De La Roggia chicane. Cody on the inside through into the first Lesmo. What a move, and he's been doing that all night long.
Yeah, that we are seeing some excellent moves, some excellent attacks here. Can Richie find it on Neon into Ascari here? No, he has to back out, and sensibly so. We've only seen a couple of moves up the hill into Ascari. A little bit of a correction there as Richie touches the inside of turn 10 coming out of the Ascari chicane, but he is looking for his friend and rival in Neon here. That final podium position as it stands, and this is on track position because right now this top 4, no penalties. They're all, you know, on fresh tires. The difference being Brownie probably won't make it to the end on those softs, but he is testing fastest laps. And, well, the Alfa Romeo is going to catch him up. And speaking of Alfa Romeos, Luke Smith fastest lap at the race for the other Alfa Romeo. So nicely done from him. They were 1-2 at one point in this race. They are now 2-10. But I think we'll see an improvement for them before we reach the checkered flag.
Ben on the outside of Curva Grande right now pushing Mark, and it is going to be an overtake for the Ferrari. Cody Lawrence is looking for a position as well. He's lunged it through into the chicane. A little bit of wheel rubbing there. Mark giving him a bit of a squeeze, trying to bring it back to hold him off. I think Cody taking a little bit of that off-run gravel there, not going to have the best exit. It's very unfortunate there, but I think Mark tried to give it back, or at the very least bring it back to the inside. It's tough, hard racing between these two. Yar, oh, look at this. Luke, Yar, they push through on Mark. Luke looking on the inside of Yar. Yar goes a little bit later on the brakes, and he will hold 7th position. But Ben has escaped nearly 1.5 seconds from this party.
Yeah, and here comes Cody Lawrence on Mark as well. He can see the two cars battling ahead. Yar, super early on the brakes there, just lets Luke Smith go around the outside. And here comes Cody, gets through on Mark. A bit of a wobble though. I don't know if there was contact between the two during the curve at Alboreto, but it's not going to deter Cody here. DRS for both cars, of course, as they charge down towards the rest of the chicane. Yar's going around the outside of Luke Smith. Cody Lawrence is on the inside of Yar's teammate. The Haas makes the move. The Yar and Luke Smith are still side by side, and Luke Smith getting the drive he needs out of the rest of Filio chicane to hold on here. Cody with a little bit of weave. I wonder whether that's because he knows we're watching or whether to shave off some speed to avoid getting close to those cars ahead. I imagine the first option might be the more accurate there, but either way, not causing anyone any problems, and he will be starting to pressure. I think the cars ahead on these fresh softs, similar to what Brownie's been doing. But
Here
he
goes
hasn't been able
Jeff.
to break away, Jeff.
Here goes Jeffrey Ritchie. Oh, and he's pushing his rival. He's pushing his friend. He's pushing his countryman, Mr. Neon, into third position. And that is going to be as easy as you like with that DRS in full utilization for him. Uh-oh.
And Brutinius is out.
No! I saw this in his sessions earlier today. That is not what the Dutchman wanted to do at all. I spoke to him about this. He had a snap out of there in Ascari in his practice sessions earlier today, and that is unfortunately now what we have seen, and Brownie has shot into this pit lane.
This is very, very unfortunate. The cars at the front of this grid have beaten the safety car, though. So that will wait for them as Ben actually gets a little bit held up by the AMG Mercedes there on the exit of the Retofino chicane, and hopefully no one runs into the rear of that. We've seen that a couple of times when this situation happens. But 11 drivers left. We're just over halfway through.
Been a wild race, to say the least. We've had so much drama in this one. And last week, whereas we saw a ton of issues coming through the grid on a consistency basis, today seems to be a mixture of consistency. We're seeing some issues with drivers on coming, especially coming out of that first chicane on the exit there. I don't know what to say. We've had a couple of issues through there. It's definitely been a very intensive, very dramatic endeavor here around Monza. We're down to 11 racers under safety car conditions, soon to be in lap 30. And we've had a very, very big chunk of position changes as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a crazy race, and here comes Jay Verhage. He is going to come into the pits. Richie and Neon as well. Neon, very, very tight to the rear of the Aston Martin ahead of him. Yeah, well, that's a pit lane car if ever I've seen one. As he speeds into it as well. Completely missed the entrance, but I guess he just didn't want to be left out here on the older tyres. Now, onto the softs these drivers go, and I wonder whether we could see these guys go to the end on this Redwood compound. As we have a few people coming out of the pit lane now. Cody Lawrence up at the front on 7 up old softs. Well, he'll be a bit disappointed to have missed out here, but he would have been double stacked behind Brownie, so couldn't really take advantage of the pit stop. Mark and Domi, well, they've gone for the safer bet here. They've gone for the mediums to the end. Everyone has pitted on the safety car with the exception of the Haas leading the race. But I think we're going to see everyone try and go to the end from here without another safety car being present. But this is our third safety car, Jeff, I believe, if not fourth. As we've seen numerous drivers retire for various reasons.
I think this is our third official.
Is, yeah, we had the VSC turn into a safety car, and then I think 3 safety cars in total. So, no, not quite on par with last week, but we do have, of course, 23 more laps in this race, one of which will, well, it might not be under safety car given how late it was called in last time. Is it going to get called in right now? I don't think so. It won't be. So we are going around again here on lap 131.
That was a very late call on our last run when we saw it come in. It really signaled that it was coming in just as we came through that middle point of the Curva Alboreto, that iconic, formerly known Parabolica.
Yeah, and I think just to pat ourselves on the back, Jeff, I don't think we've got that wrong so far. So everyone was reminding me of that change before the race started, and I think we've done pretty well so far to get that corner right. But everything else, you know.
I've had to think about it, though. It doesn't just roll off.
It's on your mind all the time. It's written down in front of me, so I know what it's called. But so far so good. But here we are. We're gonna see a restart coming out of that corner in about a minute's time. By the time everyone's got around here, and Mark and Domi appear to have come into the pits again. The Williams and the McLaren getting onto some fresher softs, and they get off of the medium tires that they went for. And this is, I think, a good decision for two reasons. One, well, they go onto the same tire as everyone else, and two, they've got an extra lap compared to everyone else as well. I'm on the safety car, and we're looking at those two along with everyone else. So I'll have a quick look at the penalty situation. The top three are clear. Brownie and Neon have 3 seconds. Then Ben and Luke Smith are also clear of any penalties. Yar has 8 seconds. Yagswall has 3, and then Mark and Domi have 6 seconds apiece as the safety car is called in, and again at a much more respectable time for race control, and gives everyone plenty of time to get some warmth into their tires down into the run into the curve at Alboreto, where we will see a little bit of a restart happen with Cody Lawrence at the helm with 8 lap older tires compared to everyone else on this grid. And that is a real challenge he is going to have to face here. Fresh softs, well, they should eat him alive, but we know Cody, and he is no slouch at the wheel of one of these cars. We'll see how well he does here.
Let's see now. He's gone. All right, he's hammered it down. How's he caught Jay? He's caught Jay decently enough. Richie seems to have picked up on things beautifully here, right on the rear of the Haas. Oh, and look at this. Ben on the rear of Neon. Brownie there on the rear of Richie. Nearly 3 wide into turn 1. Ooh, is it ever tight right now? Everybody just trying to find their space comfortably. Neon and Brownie. No!
Oh, no.
Again! This is now the 3rd time that we have seen this issue come out of turn 1 and 2.
Yep, and Neon disconnecting as well. I don't know whether that was a manual disconnection or what, but very unfortunate. No safety car, no retirement of either car, but Brownie just, like you said, almost 3 wide there, went late on the brakes on Richie, had to back out. That really slowed him down, brought Neon on the inside, and Brownie kept turning left, and Neon's there on the inside, and it didn't work out for either car. And again, stewards will be looking at POVs, I should think, after the race to decipher who's at fault. But you know, it's a very tricky corner to get right. We've seen that, like you said, multiple times already with Bloody Quick, Rutanius, Luke Smith, and now of course Brownie and Neon. And that one was a little bit different to the ones prior, I think. And well, like we mentioned, those things are looked at post-race. But what we've got now,
I felt like I watched that one slowly.
Yeah, it was a very, it felt different.
You saw it coming.
To the previous ones.
You're like, no.
It was evident as to what was going to unfold. But this time around, it looks like things are going to go much better as we exit out of the red to finish. Okay, everyone comfortable in their positions after the safety car restart, but Brownie and Neon are away down, and it looks like we aren't going to receive the Dutch driver for the Red Bull, and that car is just going to slowly trundle around, I think, for the rest of the race as it comes into the pit lane. Luke Smith, Jeffrey Ritchie side by side through the first Lesmos, and the Alfa Romeo finds his way through. A brilliant move there as Yar has had a problem coming out of the De La Rozier chicane. Up at the front, Cody Lawrence still doing well to lead things. He's had to use a bit of ERS here to hold on to it, but considering the tire differential here, he is doing well. I would not be surprised though to see him lose it here, as Java Hage is going to push again. No DRS. We'll see this pop up now when we would have seen it had Luke Smith not just set the fastest lap of the race behind his teammate, a 1:20.8. And well, without the DRS, it doesn't seem that Java Hage could find a way through on the Haas leading things. So for him, very, very nicely done there. Cody just hanging on by the skin of his teeth to that lead of things. And well, like I said, I don't think it'll be long before he gets that taken away from him by one, if not both, of the Alfa Romeos. But right now, doing very well. And Jeffrey Ritchie clinging on to the rear of the Italian team drivers as well. And he's in a bit of a sandwich shift. He's got the 2 Alfa Romeos ahead of him and then the 2 Ferraris. What a comeback drive for these two. Ben, well, he started last on this grid, if I'm not mistaken, and he's up into P5. He's up 15 places, and what a race it's been from him as he pushes now through onto what could be a potential podium if he can challenge the 3 cars ahead of him. And obviously, Cody Lawrence will be in for a pit stop at some point before the end of the race.
Here goes Jeffrey Ritchie, very tight to the rear of Luke Smith right now. I'm wondering if we're going to see it into this final turn. Later on the brakes for Luke Smith will hold 3rd position. Things very tense. We're going to get updated timings as we get to the line now. Cody Lawrence will be under fire with DRS. Here you can see Jay pushing with everything he's got. Jeffrey Ritchie has, of course, now set the fastest lap. Jay's taking him. Here comes Luke, and, well, there's Ritchie with the front row seats. Cody, Luke, very tight here. Now we don't want to see this again. Oh, thank God. And now Ritchie pushing through to the exposed 3rd position. Wheel to wheel. A little bit of grass coming up there off the Haas.
A brilliant save by Cody there, and Ben's going to take full advantage. But I'm very surprised we haven't seen that Haas not only slam into the wall but spin around. He has done very well to keep that under control. Just a little bit of a tap there from Ritchie as he came through on the outside. But my, oh my, all credit to Cody there. Great driving on these old tyres. Not only saving it through the Curva Grande, but coming out of the Reservoir chicane as well. That's how it should be done through there, as Jeffrey Ritchie up the climb down into the Ascari chicane, takes P2 away and separates the 2 Alfa Romeos. We're seeing him return back to the pace we saw him on earlier, again on these fresh softs that he's on.
Very intense race, very intense race. A lot of risks being taken there, and I think that that was a big risk between Jeff and Cody Lawrence, and, well, it paid off as a risk for Ritchie there, but were things ever loose coming for that Haas on that inside tight on that grass, and very good for him to get that car back under control. Big lockup for Mark coming here in turns 1 and 2. He's very tight to the rear of Domi here. He's got a good exit. I wonder if we see an overtaking opportunity come through soon for the Williams, but it is going to be coming into the Della Roggia chicane that nobody has any looks just yet. But you can see Mark very good right now on the rear of the Hungarian.
Yeah, there are, fights going up and down, but things seem to have just calmed down that little bit now. It is still this train from 1st down to 8th place with Mark that you just mentioned in that Williams. Looking to find a way past Domi. Jeffrey Ritchie, he's already caught Jay here very, very quickly here. Obviously, DRS will have helped him out that little bit in the Aston Martin, but he's pulled away from Luke Smith, who's also had that DRS. They're all using battery. Jay Verhage, actually, on 50%. He's got quite the advantage here over the 2 rivals behind him. Ben as well, he's reserving a bit for later on as well. So we'll see how that plays into things at the end of things. Management, we've seen it so far this game, and it's been brilliant to see, Jeff, how the new ERS system has been, turning this into a very management-orientated racing game. It's made it a little bit more challenging on that ERS utilization, but Jeffrey Ritchie, despite using it a bit there, he's regained a lot of his ERS, but doesn't find a way past the Alfa Romeo and sits back in P2. Just waiting to pounce, and, well, he's got 16 laps to do so. So patience is key, and he doesn't want to throw away what is looking like it could be a race win as he slides out of the Della Roggia chicane. And, well, that's exactly what I mean. You don't want to be throwing it away at this stage.
If Luke and Jay are communicating as well, Luke's going to be saying, Jay, I just saw him drop it coming out of Della Roggia. You can find something there. And with that information, you never know what can come out of a Jay like Jay Verhage, and you have Luke here. Well, he's just keeping that pressure application on. Jay has a little bit of a safety net in Luke.
Well, here we come through the Curva Alboreto for the 37th time this evening. And is this the moment that we see the overtake from Ritchie? We do have DRS. after the safety car restart, and well, that is going to make all the difference here as he just breezes past. Does Luke Smith take his teammate as well? No, he doesn't. He is going to be forced to hang back as they come out of the Rettifilio chicane, and is going to be happy that he is still up in this fight for the podium. Ben just starting to drop off that little bit, but he's got a bit of a comfort behind knowing that Cody can't really challenge him too much on those tires. So he's in a very, very strong place right now, and he can wait for either a mistake from one of the leaders or a penalty for one of those top three, and could still, if he can stay within the DRS range, just keep towing along, could take advantage of any of those situations and maybe snag himself a podium at the end of this one. Starting, remember, from the last slot on this grid. He has come all the way from 20th, and he's in 4th right now. A brilliant race at the home of Ferrari.
Definitely having a brilliant race with the position gains. Definitely. Here we go. This train fully synced up right now. Any mistakes? There are a good host of penalties on the board, of course, but any mistakes are going to drop you in a train like this. We've seen it already tonight. We've had 12 drivers, not 12 drivers, excuse me, I'm losing my mind. 9 drivers, unfortunately, retire from this campaign.
Yeah, and it's been for a variety of reasons. You know, we've seen the Sky chicane, which we expected coming into this one, as Javer Hayes catches his rear right on the curbing coming into turn 1, manages to keep the car settled though. But we've seen the Sky chicane. We knew that one coming into things was tricky in this new game. But then the De La Roche chicane, Jeff, I don't think we expected that one. That's, you know, been the cause of a few issues tonight. Lesmo won as well. I don't think we've necessarily had a retirement there, but it's definitely been causing problems. And then, of course, turn 2. Well, we've seen at least 2 retirements, if not 3, I think. And I think we've actually had one through the Curva Grande as well early on. I think Luca and Crampy crashed coming out of
we had the issue with Vincent and Mark coming into the Curva Alboreto as well.
And it's been every corner on this track, with the exception of, I think, Lesmo 2 has caused a problem tonight. And even that, I feel like someone's probably had some kind of issue that we just haven't caught on. So this is proving to be a very tricky track here in the new game.
Pushing with DRS on the rear, Cody Lawrence through into 6. No, later on the brakes for the Haas, and that is going to be a tight squeeze here for Yags to try and maybe hold this move around the outside now for the Ferrari with the power, the better tires. I have to give it to Yags there. That was a neat move, and it was nice to see it done like that.
Yeah, it's still overtaking happening on lap 40 here, and it's been a brilliant race here. And you know, these drivers who are still in this campaign can give us as a big pat on the back. They have made it through, you know, what has been a very, very turbulent race, and there's been a lot of issues for a lot of drivers, but some of them fought their way back. As Javer H, is he going to go for the lunge into the Ascari chicane? He's not, but he was having a little think about it, just trying to unsettle Richie. And well, Richie is not someone you can easily unsettle by doing that, and he's going to take full advantage. He actually gains a little bit of time through the Ascari chicane, but Javer H has had a brilliant exit. He's not even using ERS to gain back that time. So both of these drivers on top of their game right now in the closing stages on these fresh softs. The question is, can they go to the end of these tires? I think we've seen, you know, some pretty long stints on them. You know, Cody Lawrence just crossing onto his 18th lap on his set. As here goes Javer H again. Richie just planting that car right where he needs to. You know, Richie's one of the fastest drivers here in the MRL, and he knows not only how to overtake, not only how to set fast laps, but also how to defend like that. It's a brilliant bit of driving. But Javer H, he is not going to stop. He is piling the pressure on that Aston Martin. I think it's only a matter of time before we see him sneak into lead of things.
Well, he needs to get a move on, because this grid behind him, I mean, everybody is going to be looking for position. Luke Smith, his teammate, everybody wants more points, I think. And between the two Alfa Romeos, Luke Smith is going to be saying, come on, Jay, get it done now. Let's take care of this guy. And then Ben's there saying, would you guys get on with it? So the Ferraris, The Alfa Romeo's bend just takes 3 seconds, and that's going to hurt all of his chances tonight.
Yeah, that means he's no longer, in the position to take advantage of a top 3 penalty because he's got one of his own now. Obviously, on track, he can still do something, and we've seen like penalty drama affect things in the past, and
Here goes Jay.
I would not rule it out.
Jay on Jeffrey Ritchie for lead of this race on lap 42. Jay is leading him into the first turn. Later on the brakes for Ritchie. Back through on the outside. We've seen a lot happen through here. Ritchie holding, and has he held it? Yes, he has, and I have to say, neatly done to the Dutchman there, and it's a battle between the 2 Dutchmen as we come here through. Of course, lap 42, Luke Smith there in the other Alfa Romeo barking up his front end. Geez, this race really providing a lot of action.
Yeah, some really, really brilliant racing, clean through turn 2, coming out of there. It's tricky to do, we've seen it go wrong this race, but we've seen it go right as well, and that's another example. They're great wheel-to-wheel racing. These guys, I was just complimenting them on how, good they are racing, and again, another just a great example of that. They are just showing so much respect to each other here out on track, and I think this battle is going to continue to the end. And Jay the H, he's at 90% ERS trim. He is just waiting. I don't think he minds being in second place right now. I think he is just going to wait until Ritchie doesn't have DRS. He's having to push a little bit every time. He's using it now, coming out of the curve at Alboreto here. And I think Jay the H biding his time. But
I think Jay very much is in the driver's seat of where this race finishes, given the DRS. But I think that switch flip, we still have a few laps before we see this thing really open up between our race leaders. The problem for Ritchie is that he's going to be utilizing that battery more so than Jay.
Yeah, 3 seconds of time to add to his race, and he's in 10th right now. Shouldn't really affect things too much. He is quite a way behind the rest of the runners, and he's quite far ahead of Neon as well, but still not ideal for the Spaniard. Mark is starting to put a bit of pressure back on Cody as well, and Cody has really done well on those soft tires. I wonder whether he's seeing pit here, because surely he has to do something about those tires. He's having a problem through the Ascari chicane. Mark has one too, but I think the Williams is just going to have the pace, and he does. You can just see they're steaming past the Haas right now, and I think that's a sign that the tires are done for Cody. And well, that doesn't bode well for everyone else. They will just about make it to the end. Cody's tires, though, I don't think will, as there's a problem further back. It's Yar after a 3-second time penalty. Now an issue on trackers.
Excuse me there, Unicorn. Jay pushing through on Ace Ritchie or Jeffrey Ritchie into lead of this race. Lap 44. Luke Smith in the rearview mirrors of the Aston Martin. Can we make it an Alfa Romeo 1-2 is the question. Is it going to be an Aston Martin win? It is a duel to the end.
Well, I think the podium is going to have, it's safe to say, an Italian car on it, and I think a Dutch driver is a pretty safe bet as well, Striff, at this stage in the race. Ritchie, a great run down into Ascari. Is he going to go for the move? Jay the H looked at this one a few times. He almost got it as Yar calls it in the pit lane, bringing us down to 10 drivers. But my oh my, Ritchie there almost had the run down into Ascari. It's a risky move. Thought better of it, but he has got real pace in Aston Martin. I think he'll take this time, though, to harvest the battery a little bit, and he needs to, because Luke Smith behind him pretty much has 100% charge.
Something's happened to Yags. He's dropped it coming out of the Curve Alboreto. He's on his way into the pit lane here.
Yeah, it was similar to where we saw Kevin Magnussen crash, if I remember correctly, a few years ago. Has there been a problem in turns 1 and 2 between Mark and Cody? There was a yellow flag flashed up. Or was that a retired car rejoining the track?
I think it is Yar's car. I think it is Yar's car, yeah.
I'm thankful to see that it's not two of our active runners coming together, and it's instead that horrible problem we have where the retired cars do come back out of the pit lane. Richie again holding off down into Ascari, as there aren't many laps left, about 8 to go.
See some of that battery utilization on the exit out of Ascari here for Richie, just trying to hold well with Jay. Luke Smith dropping just around that 1 second range, and he can't drop too much here. He can't fall out of that DRS. If he falls out of the DRS, you are going to be in a very, very bad position. Jay now coming under fire just from the DRS. Not a lot of battery and utilization here. You can just see a little bit of weaving. Everyone trying to figure out their lines. It's going to be Jeffrey Ritchie through into lead of this race once again with the Alfa Romeo in his rearview mirrors. And well, we're on lap 46 out of 53, ladies and gentlemen, friends and family. And well, I hope you've enjoyed this race. And if you have, let us know in the comments. My name's Stryfium. Joining me for all the action, Mr. George Unicorn over there in the UK. And well, what a pleasure it's been having you with me tonight, George. It's been a crazy race.
Yeah, absolutely. Endurance always gives us a little bit of fun on a Saturday afternoon, preceding, of course, the real life Formula 1 Grand Prix that'll happen tomorrow here at Monza. And well, if that's half as exciting as this one, we're in for an absolute banger of a race here, as Jay again, just like they've done routinely down into Ascari time after time, just threatening the move on the inside. But I think now is just a tradition between the two racers, and rather than anyone actually going to go for that move, but maybe in the last few laps they'll pull a surprise on the driver ahead and the and us as well, who aren't expecting anything, and that's what they're building up to. Luke Smith as well, he still looks strong. He might be a bit of a dark horse at the end of things, Chev. I think he's been doing what his teammates been doing with Richie and just waiting, and well, maybe his wait is over because he's pushing a little bit more now as they go down towards someone. Jay Verhage recognizes it. He's not pulling to the inside there to try and overtake Richie. He's pulling the inside to try and stop Luke coming through. So now this is a problem for Jay, because look at the time he's dropped to Richie. It doesn't look like a lot, but he's now having to expend that battery that he's been, carefully, procuring over the last few laps. And Luke Smith started to just apply the pressure now. The front two are using batteries that they don't want to be using, and Luke Smith, with 6 laps to go, still has a great chance in the dying lights of this race.
Well, he can't apply too much pressure here, and I'll tell you why. Jay and Luke absolutely, and this is race critical, must not have a fight. If there is an exchange, okay, and if Luke wants to overtake Jay, it can't be done in a fight. And what I mean is they can't be going wheel to wheel and having these prolonged corners. It needs to be a clear-cut overtake as to not lose time to Jeffrey Ritchie and lead of this race, because if they don't do that, they lose all opportunity at a potential race win here. And they've been fighting very hard for now 47, soon to be 48 laps as Jeffrey crosses the line here for a race podium, let alone a race win. They don't want to compromise that. They can't compromise that, and should they compromise that, they give Ben in the Ferrari a potential opportunity, penalty or no penalty, to get involved even more so.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, it is all going to come down to the final lap, and this is the drama you want to see. It's been 48, it will have been 53 at the start of things, as though our exchange is still going on elsewhere. Brownie and Domi side by side into the Rettifilo chicane, turn 1 and turn 2, and Brownie bumping over that curb, and the front wing there just shaking around. I haven't really seen that too much in this game, and gotta give credit where credit's due, as there's an exchange up at the front as well into the first Lesmos.
Well, that's a very crucial overtake, and it makes me ask if Richie had an issue coming out of the Della Roggia, where we saw him dip a toe on the gravel on the left side before. Now he's really pushing Jay as we come back into Ascari. This time around, though, Luke Smith, oh my, was he ever tight to the rear of this Aston Martin. I thought there might have even been a tap that had come out of Luke there. Things are about to go very, very intense for these three.
Everything. It's just a waiting game now, and well, Luke Smith, like I said, they're all oversteering through the final corner, and Ben Schiff is here in the Ferrari. He does have the penalty, but one mistake from the guys ahead, as Richie's going to go to the outside here, side by side with Jay into turn 1. They are still side by side. I think Jay Verhage will get him on the exit. Luke Smith looking for a way through. Doesn't find it.
Oh,
but
he's pushing.
Waiting, and he's got a great run through the Curva Grande here. Looks to the outside. Javer H is going to slow him down there. He's going slow on the outside. It's almost 3-1. It hasn't worked out for any of them here. Richie, maybe he finds a way through, and he does through the Della Rocha chicane. Brilliant overtake by the Dutchman to get through on his fellow countryman. But
here goes Domi, Brownie. Hold the phone here, Brownie on the inside as we come into the chicane. Domi wanting to take that 7th position back from the German who's had it for a little bit now. Nothing doing just yet as Luke now pushing on the rear of Jay. It's a battle between teammates that they really can't have too much of. Jay looks at the inside of Richie. Man, what a battle.
The two Alfa Romeos, they do exchange. Luke Smith getting through. And it has been coming, but he's used up a lot of his battery to do so. He still has a slight advantage on Richie, but is it going to be enough in the tail end of this race? They're going to cross onto lap 50 now. There really isn't long until the end of this one. And yet I think we are going to see multiple overtakes for leader things. And here comes one of them, Luke Smith.
Jay's right there with Richie. He's still there with Richie. He's on the inside, but Richie with a fantastic exit is going to hold that 2nd position, and they were just so tight there. Man, oh man. That was tight racing, and you love to see it, and just what a battle we've seen out of these 3 tonight.
This is an unreal fight for the lead. These 3. And well, you can't discredit Ben for keeping with them all this time, but the penalty means he's pretty much out of the running here. But these top 3 for the last 10, 15 laps or so have put on a real show for us, and it's not going to end anytime soon. Richie looking like he might have tried to push for a move into Ascari, and Javer Hage as well, all threatening the same moves on each other lap after lap. It's just a case of finding their way through right now, and it's not going to happen here. Brownie, does he get a move into Ascari? The Haas, well, even outside of the top 3 out of the podiums, there are still overtakes happening as the Haas goes around the outside of Domi into Ascari, and a great move there from the German to bring him behind his teammate for the evening in Cody Lawrence, and he's done well here. And I wonder whether his tyres are going to make it to the end, but let's talk about tyres and more talk about a potential exchange for the leaders. Richie is literally bumper to bumper with Luke Smith here, but no overtaking. And again, I think we're just seeing him wait here. But my goodness, this is quite possibly the most intense endurance race we've ever seen, Striff.
At the very least, in a fight for the lead like this between the Alfa Romeo and the Aston Martins, well, Aston Martin and Alfa Romeos is that backwards, but it has been an amazing race, a thrilling, stunning campaign. Lap 51 out of 53. Richie just biding his time, potentially looking for an opportunity at Luke here. Jay on the rear with the pressure. Let's take a look now. DRS wide open on the rear here for Richie. He's just bump drafting, it would appear, on the rear of Luke as we come into the Ascari chicane, and he can't be doing that too much if it exposes him to Jay behind. Mark takes up a 3-second time penalty.
It's a waiting game now because you don't want to be in leader things, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Luke Smith not defend here. Look, he's used 2-3% of his battery coming out of the Curva Alboreto, and Richie's going to get a huge ton of speed here, which will see him overtaken. It might be 3 wide here. It will be 3 wide, as not just Richie, but Javer Hage comes past Luke Smith as well into turn 1, and it's side by side between an Aston Martin and an Alfa Romeo through the first corner. There's a yellow flag behind. It's the McLaren of Domi, but we'll ignore that for a moment, as there are still podium positions being jostled around. And, well, the 2 Alfa Romeos are going to go side by side down into the Della Rocha chicane, and they're not going to outbreak one another. And Javer H taps Richie lightly in the rear. Mark and Cody exchange further down the grid. But my goodness, things are still getting tight up at the front as Cody Lawrence in both.
There was a bit of a tap there. I don't know what happened between the pair of them, if it was desync or some kind of tap, but they both took the run off. I don't think any has damage. Richie is really in control right now as he has a decent enough gap here. This is one of the biggest gaps we've seen from him in this last phase of the race. Just over half a second. It's absolutely critical for Jay to break that down on exit here, but he hasn't had the most ideal exit here at all. And it's Richie into the final lap of this race right now, pushing just over half a second away from the Alfa Romeo. The Alfa Romeos both with the DRS, and Ben there in 4th position as well as Mark now. Cody Lawrence, they exchange, pushing through into turn 1. Very easy exchange between the pair of them as Mark will take 5th position. Penalties in it while he takes a big slide over the curbing there. And these softs, very old. Not what you want to be doing there as he gets really, really shaken up and out of shape. We move back to the race leader, Mr. Richie.
It's going to be very tight. Jay Verhage here. Well, he's been threatening the move into a sky, but now it might be his last attempt. You've also got the move coming out of the curve at Alboreto. We haven't seen that one really today, but there is a bit of a run down to the line coming out of the last corner. So maybe he goes there. He's pushing with the ERS. He's got DRS as well. He wants an advantage, though, for when he is able to make the push. He was too far back there, coming out of the second Lesbos. This is the last lap. This is the last one. He runs wide, coming out of the sky. Luke Smith, he's been dropped. He's no longer in this fight for the lead. Jay Verhage still has the advantage. It's only 6%, but Richie is pretty much out of ERS. This is the last push to the line. Here we go. Jay Verhage, Richie leads as he comes out of the curve at Alboreto, down towards the line, and it will be the Dutchman. Well, there's a bit of desync there. I do believe Richie wins, though, ahead of his fellow countryman, and Luke Smith makes it an Alfa Romeo 2-3, I believe. I think the time is a bit off there. But either way, the Italian team get a double podium here in Monza. The Temple of Speed delivers an absolutely beautiful race. Ben in the Ferrari fails to get the Scuderia on the podium, but from 20th to 4th, you've got to say he'll be happy with that one. Cody Lawrence 5th, Brownie, his teammate in the other half, 6th. Mark finishes 7th, with the other Ferrari bringing it home in the points as well. Yagswell finishing 8th. Domi in the McLaren. He's had a few issues tonight, but he still manages to wrap a 9th place into the bag. And Neon, well, he has problems in this race. He had that crash, he had that disconnection, but he still brings home a point and becomes the 3rd Dutch driver to score 1 here. My oh my, what a brilliant race Monza has provided us. And well, we hope you enjoyed that as much as we did. Driver of the day undoubtedly going to Ben. 16 places gained, sorry, for the Ferrari driver. But there is the podium. And it will be Jay Verhage taking the top step. But like I said, I think stewards will have to look as to whether desync caused this. And with Richie's game crash, I think that is the case. I do believe the Aston Martin should be on the top step. But either way, it's a Dutchman winning the race. And 2 Alfa Romeos on the podium.
It was a very, very wild campaign. I think that we saw a great fight there in the end. We're going to talk to these 3, hopefully, if they're into it for the interviews. But we saw Jay, Jeffrey, Richie, and Luke Smith with a fantastic battle. It was Jay from 7th to the race win tonight. And we saw 20 drivers start this campaign. We saw quite a few of the drivers struggle in the end to make it to the line. But we saw, ultimately, 10 drivers finish the race and get points. All of the positions got points. Fantastic. Fastest lap was a 19.397. That was for Mr. Yegsel in the Ferrari. And, well, I imagine any fans of the Ferraris will be happy. At the very least, they were the fastest around the circuit today. But, of course, that will wrap up the endurance race of this evening. We're going to get interviews and a raid going here in just a few moments' time. Man, oh, man. 53 laps. 54 if you include that formation lap. And, well, here we are. Jay, Jeffrey, Luke, your top 3. Ben came 4th. We had Lawrence, Mr. Cody Lawrence there in, of course, 5th from 15th position. I really want to take a moment to talk about Ben. He started this race, George, on, well, 20th on the grid, and he made it all the way to 4th position. So patience, good racing in the end for him. Very, very good result.
Yeah, there's a few drivers there in that top 10 and, well, the finishing top 10 who really have outdone themselves in terms of positions gained. Cody 15th to 5th, Brownie 13th to 6th, and Mark 18th to 7th. Some awesome drives there. Domi as well, 19th to 9th. 10 places gained there too. And Yagsol, well, he may have dropped, but he got fastest lap as well for the Ferrari squad at home. So some awesome races. And Jay Verhage as well, not as many positions gained, but 7th to 1st. I think that will be corrected to 2nd by the stewards later on. But either way, a huge drive from him in an Alfa Romeo. Really took advantage of the start. And if you didn't know what happened in qualifying, you would have expected him, I think, to have started on the front 2 rows of the grid, but he didn't. He just fought his way through, cleared himself out of the few problems that some drivers had at the start, and subsequently came away with a very, very nice finish here in Monza for the Alfa Romeo squad. And if that many Italian cars get on the podium tomorrow, I think the Tifosi will go absolutely mental, and it will be a beautiful scene to watch. But this is the virtual road, and hopefully we do have an interview with at least a couple of the drivers, but I don't think there's anyone waiting around at the moment.
Yeah, just getting an idea of who's going to be able to come through for an interview. Hopefully we're going to be able to talk to our podium finishers this evening. I do believe Luke Smith will be joining us, and I think there was a bit of a shake-up there with the tire at the end. I do believe it was Richie that won the race, and then there was the desync because of his disconnections, or am I mistaken?
Because I believe that is.
Yeah, we
correct.
saw him run it to the line 100%, and I know Luke Smith, he came in third, so we'll be speaking to him first. Joining us for a interview after a very long campaign here in Italy. It was the Temple of Speed, and well, I don't think that can be said more so for anyone else than the drivers that finished in the top 3. We're talking with Mr. Luke Smith, third position in the Alfa Romeo tonight. A very, very hard-fought battle for the podium and, well, for the position as well. How are you feeling after this one?
A bit exhausted, but it definitely felt a lot. You could notice like how much shorter the race was this week compared to Zandvoort. I think it was like 20 minutes shorter or something. So yeah, it's kind of nice to be finishing that a little bit earlier. Also shows there were fewer safety cars, which is nice to show that there's more better consistency from everyone, which is good. But yeah, the battle was really nice, really good fun. But yeah, I didn't quite plan it far enough ahead. I only planned ahead to basically lap 50 or so, not 53. So yeah, and that's when it really starts to count, the race.
Well, it was a thrilling race. Multiple safety cars here, a little bit of strategy play in it. How did the tires feel for you? We saw some drivers struggling on those worn tires near the end. Were they just fine for you, having been in that kind of groove with Jeffrey and, of course, Jay through this entire race?
Well, on the last corner, they gave up a little bit. But yeah, the tires felt mostly okay in that last stint. I know that someone like Cody, who stayed out since like lap 20 or something, whenever the previous safety car was, they would struggle a little bit. But yeah, the tires never really had any grip issues. But yeah, only real issues I had was like little bits of contact that was not no one's fault. So yeah, the tires were like handling everything quite well. No real issues.
Any questions from you, Unicorn, for Luke?
Well, Luke, it's just a great race from you, a great recovery drive, and again, obviously, a podium for you, and you keep doing it, you keep performing well in all these endurance races. Do you think that the 100% races, do they just suit you very well? Obviously, you had an issue coming out of this, but we see a lot of people, they struggle to get back into things. You just kept yourself very cool, calm, and collected. How do you sort of manage yourself in these 100%? Because they really don't seem to phase you as much as some other drivers.
Well, I think something that I like to think I'm quite good at is just consistency. Like my 1 lap pace, I actually don't think is as good as it could be. Like, even though I got pole, like, I still think that my 1 lap pace needs a bit more work, and that when it comes to the race, I'm a lot either like I'm able to plan out the strategy a bit better, but unfortunately that's why I'm P3 not P1, because I mess up on strategy. But yeah, I'm able to just keep a cool head and know that there's a long race ahead a bit quicker than others. So yeah, that sort of helps me with just keeping a good pace regardless of what happens.
Well, Luke, congratulations as always. We appreciate you taking the time to interview, and another huge race from you. And from our point of view, that battle between you and the 2 other podium sitters was absolutely spectacular. So a huge congratulations to you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, that was Luke, everyone, and what a race from Luke. And we're going to talk now to his teammate for the evening. This will be Mr. Jay, and well, what a battle from the Alfa Romeos and the Aston Martin. Jay, we just heard from Luke. But what a congratulations in order for you. P2 in the end, a very hard fought podium tonight. How are you feeling? What a race.
Yeah, it's been feeling very good. I enjoyed the race a lot, and I'm P1 in my books. I know it's probably P2, but hey, I'm taking the P1. Just don't look at the standings later on. But yeah, it was great fun. We just had a lot of fun, and yeah, with some fast guys, we just battled a lot, especially in the last 5-6 laps. And yeah, I just enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun for us here to commentate it in the booth as well. We really enjoyed so much of that dynamic wheel-to-wheel racing, because it wasn't just a straight duel. There was 3 cars in it, and really 4 when you think about Ben as well. And just what does it mean to you to be able to have battles like that, especially around such a circuit like Italy?
Yeah, it's good because I like Italy a lot, and on Italy or at Italy you can overtake a lot, of course. So yeah, it's good that we have a three-way battle, and sometimes 4, even if Ben catches up. So yeah, it was good, but I did think Ben was kind of just enjoying the show as well and just hanging on. But yeah, it's just lovely to overtake everyone, and also in the last 6 laps, like I said, basically a 5-lapper. But with cracked tires, so yeah, it's just good fun.
Well, Unicorn, any questions for Jay after that fantastic race?
Jay, like just said, a fantastic race. You know, out of the guys on the podium, you were the only one who didn't start on the front row. You took advantage of everything that came your way here. Strategy played a huge role. What was your sort of plan? You took advantage of every incident that happened. You just didn't seem phased by it. And the pit stops, you know, you pretty much nailed everyone. So throughout a 100% race, that's possibly the most difficult thing to get right time and time again. Yeah. What was your plan? Because whatever it was worked out very, very well for you.
Yeah, it wasn't ideal that I started P7 because I basically only did 1 quali lap with a pretty bad lap. But yeah, with the strategy, it was gambling a bit since I've never done a 100% race on the game. But yeah, it worked out at the end, and it's pretty easy soft medium around here. So you can sort of know when to box and when you can box for, let's say, a soft tire or the medium tire, and just feel the tires. Because yeah, it's pretty easy to see if you like the tire or not, and if you don't like it, you gotta get rid of it.
Well, Jay, congratulations, a huge race, and in terms of our point of view, that was a beautiful battle for the lead. So congratulations on a double podium for Alfa Romeo in Italy. Well, that's something to be very, very happy for. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Alrighty, now finally it is going to be Mr. Jeffrey Ritchie joining us as the race winner in Monza. What a race win, what a race in the Aston Martin. 53 laps, you were leading a ton of them. Must have been quite the push in the end there with 2 Alfa Romeos barking up the rear end for the whole race. How are you feeling?
I feel great. Yeah, it's definitely nice to win after 53 laps of Italy, and after a last couple races that didn't go so well. So, and also my PC just blue screening twice in the race was great. So to still win was, yeah, feels good.
Unicorn, any questions for Ace after that fantastic drive? I mean, I know that I saw a ton of it, but I think you really had a good eye for what was going on there with the Alfa Romeos, and Richie really as well in this one at the lead of things, and it was a really long lead of the race as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Richie, you've got to, we've got to look at those last few laps. There was pressure building and building. You took lead of the race, and then it looked like, the Alfa Romeos were doing what you'd done, sit back in P2, wait for the opportunity. But on sort of coming out of the penultimate lap, you just built this gap coming out of the Curva Alboreto that Jay could not close with DRS down into turn 1. ERS as well, he had the advantage. He could not overtake it. What did you do on that penultimate lap? Was it just complete flat out push? But whatever you did worked for you beautifully. But how did you build that gap, and how did you maintain it as well?
I was just cruising really the most of the whole race, just chilling in DRS, and I was just saving my true pace for the last couple laps. So I just send it, and was able to keep the gap even though he had double like the DRS.
Well, Richie, congratulations. That is some of the best racing we've seen. That fight for leader things there took goodness knows how many laps that it was tight wheel-to-wheel racing between you guys, but it was absolutely stunning to watch, and you should be very, very happy with it. And congratulations for walking out of this one with the win.
Yes, thank you.
Alrighty, that will wrap up our action. Man, what a race, Unicorn, what a race. And Italy never fails to impress and never fails to provide some awesome action. And who can deny that that was an action-packed race? I mean, we saw a ton of drama. We saw some crashes. We saw some major retirements. We saw some safety cars. The only thing I don't think we saw was any rain. And, well, I don't think that might have been the best dynamic to find themselves in anyway today. But wow, what a race, George. Any last words from you before we wrap things up ahead of what will be, well, soon to be a full week of Italian Grand Prix coming ahead?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has set a very high bar. It makes me even more excited to what we could see in Monza next week here in the MRL. And, well, I think rain would have spoiled that race, so I'm glad we didn't see it here. But there's every possibility that we see it at some point during the week. So be sure to tune in for those races. But Striff, as always, an absolute pleasure here for Endurance. 3 weeks on the bounce here, but I don't think there won't be one next week, of course. But, well, this one, what a way to end the 3-week, the triple header here. But thank you all so much for watching. It's been an awesome race. We hope you all enjoyed it as much as we did. We'll see you again on Monday for Tier 4, of course, again for Monza, like Chef mentioned. But until then, take care. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.